Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talksports here on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining on today's edition of the program. We have so much to talk about today, and interestingly the NBA started off very hot. It started off as if it's the playoffs time. These guys are playing highly competitive basketball, and we'll be talking about that. We'll be bringing you a highlight of the game between Golden State Warriors and also OKC Thunders as they defeated the Indiana Pacers again. You know, I thought I was going to see a rematch of the finals where the other Pacers will take up and, you know, get a win. But this time around, the OKC Thunders also, you know, repeated what they did in the ending of the 2024-2025 NBA season by defeating them with a serious margin. We'll bring you those highlights, and then we'll be starting from the home front as always, as the CAF changed dates for the clash between Rivers United and the Black Trees. We'll be bringing you those quick conversation, and also the Super Falcons of Nigeria are braced up and ready ahead of their clash of that they'll be facing off. They'll be facing off Benin Republic later today at 4 p.m. Nigerian time. We'll be bringing you those highlights, and we'll be bringing you conversations around those lights. And also yesterday we saw in the UEFA Conference League where Nottingham Forest defeated Porto 2-0, and we saw other actions as well where we saw Roma being defeated as well in the Europa Cup. So we'll be talking about all of these things. We'll be talking about all of these highlights. Also, Iheanacho, the head coach of Celtic, gives us updates on his injury situation, and then we are getting set to see how all of this will pan out and what his next couple of weeks will look like for him. And then locally here, Nigerian Sport Writers Association, that's talking about SWAN, now has started. Today is the opening day for the celebration of marking SWAN at 60. We'll be having that conversation as preparations are on the way, and the grand finale will be coming up later in the month, I think on the 31st of this month, where it will be crowned with lots of award ceremonies for partners. Trust Global Television will be there to bring you the majors of the highlights of the event. Rims and Trails also finals coming up later this weekend with lots of actions that will be happening in basketball here in Abuja, where we'll be seeing a whole lot of athletes from every part of Nigeria coming to participate. They have been participating. We had conversation with the CEO, Adeshina Femi, a couple of days ago, where he threw more light on the brain behind Rims and Trails. Is an avenue to develop and nurture grassroots talent for the future and higher competition. So we'll be having that conversation a little bit later. But before we dive right into the conversations, we'll be going on a quick break, and when we return back, I'll bring you all the stories that your ears are itching to hear. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Yes, if you just joined in, this is Talksports, and you hadn't missed much. You just missed the opening ceremony. Now we are about to get right into the action, which I'm so pumped up about. The 10-time African champions, talking about the Super Falcons, pumped up for Benin Republic clash, which will be happening later today at about 4 p.m. Nigerian time. The Super Falcons goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie, number one shot stopper, has declared the team's readiness for battle against Amazons of Benin Republic. Benin Republic will host their neighbors in the first leg of the 2026 Women's African Cup of All Nations qualifying feature at the Santade Lume Stadium later today. The defending champions set up camp in Lume for the game on Monday. They've been in camp since on Monday this week. You see early preparation. And Nnadozie stated that they are battle ready for their opponent. She says, the spirit is very high. From the day we knew we were going to face Benin Republic, we've been communicating on how we can defeat them. We are mentally and physically prepared. The Brighton shortstopper told reporters in Lume. The encounter will kick off at 4 p.m. Nigerian time, and these individuals are set to continue. But there's a concern I have with this. They are champions, 10-time champions, right? If you remember when Real Madrid won their 10th consecutive Champions League trophy, they did them one and asked them, this trophy, if you get to win it, you keep it. Now, the Super Falcons have won this championship, African Cup of All Nations Women's Championship 10 times. So don't they deserve a ticket, an automatic ticket into the 2026 African Cup of All Nations? Think about that for a minute, because winning it 10 times, who else have done it? What other team have done it? And in the fashion that they even won it, coming from behind to defeat Morocco in their hometown, and they already had a whole lot of advantages. They have the fans, they have their family members there, they are on their own soil, and then the Super Falcons came from behind to defeat them, not even going to the penalty shootout, but winning flawlessly in the 90 minutes, coming from behind. They deserve, a slack. Okay, yes, for all of the work that you guys have done, for the fashion at which you won your 10th Champions African Cup of All Nations Female Championship. Okay, you guys have automatically qualified for that of 2026. I think CAF should look into all of this. The champions should automatically be qualified, while other teams that are struggling, that didn't win, should be able to, come from behind and struggle, play in the group stage, do all of this preseason. But still, if you look at it from a different angle, there's also an avenue for them to bond more. That's talking about the players now. But that does not mean if they get the automatic ticket that NFF and the Nigerian Football Federation wouldn't create avenues for them to prepare properly, open time for camp for them to come back. When other teams are preparing and getting set to go play, they can take time off from their club side and then come home and prepare ahead of the championship that will be coming up. But let's see how all of this pans out. If there would be a change like this in the nearest future, I think there might be a change in the nearest future in line with, champions having to go back to, struggle and qualify again. That's what champion like. Well, moving on, let's see what happens. I'm saying this in line with what happens with Club World Cup. You all should understand me. I'm saying it in line with what happens at Club World Cup, because the best of the best would now come and participate and also fight to be the world champion, just like what Chelsea did. They advanced further in their league, and then that gained them an automatic ticket to go and compete for the Club World Cup trophy. And then they did, and then they won up their match, and they won against, PSG, who are the UEFA Champions League winners of the just concluded season of 2024-2025. So when you look at it in that line, I think, champions, African Cup of All Nations champions, and UEFA, all of this other domestic leagues, I think they should. If it was World Cup, I would say yes, it makes more sense. Yeah, World Cup, you need to prepare. Yes, you need to fight for your place in the World Cup. But something domestic happening within that region, the champions should be able to, have an automatic ticket if they win the trophy. Just my thoughts. I'm just saying, if that can be implemented. So let's move on now quickly. CAF Champions League, Rivers United versus Black Bulls gets new date. CAF has announced a new date for the Champions League second preliminary second leg tie between Rivers United and Mozambian side Black Bulls. The encounter, which was initially scheduled for Sunday the 26th November, will now take place Saturday, November 25th. The reason for the change in date was not provided by CAF. The match will be played at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo, at 4 p.m. Nigerian time. It will be recalled that Rivers United lost 1-0 to Black Bulls in their first leg. Rivers United need to win by 2 or more goals to progress into the morning screening group stage of the competition. So it's very crucial for them to actually win this matchup, and CAF just made the release. CAF made the release of this statement without giving reasons why the change actually happened. But CAF obviously wouldn't just make a decision like this out of the blue without having a proper information on why they should do this. Maybe the category and then the calendar would not be suiting other championship or other league games that would be happening. And then let's move on to Benue State, as Benue State Governor dissolves Lobby Stars Board. Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia has dissolved the board and management of the state-owned Lobby Star FC Makurdi. Lobby Stars FC were relegated last season after 27 years. They stay in the Nigerian Premier League. Premier Football League following a run of a poor performance. The Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Sir Tukus Kalu, announced the Governor's approval of this solution in a statement issued on Thursday and made available to journalists in Makurdi. The move was described as part of the ongoing reform to repositioning the club for greater efficiency, accountability, and better performance in the Nigerian Premier Football League and other competitions. Governor Alia directed that all members of the board be dissolved, management board be dissolved, they should hand over all official document assets and responsibility to the Commissioner of Youth, Sport and Creativity with immediate effect. And that was how the whole trajectory of those teams were, those individuals were dissolved. Actually, Lobby Stars has been one of the major strong force when it comes to Nigerian Professional Football League. And then of recent, we are all shocked that they were relegated to the NNL. Are they going to come back from the NNL? Yes, I think they will come back. But what we've been noticing basically here in the Nigerian football scene is that there's been a whole lot of administrative issues, not just with the NFF, but also with other teams that are playing in the Nigerian Professional Football League, which is affecting the quality and the standard of what we are expected to see in our own local leagues. That's why you will see fans in Kano, and officials officiating wrongly, and then fans will now go in to protest and also attack away players for coming to play. So all of this now is a concern for Lobby Stars, and now the governor has taken up the pace to correct all of that. So we'll see what it will look like for Lobby Stars as they are in the NNL, and what it will look like for them when they bounce back and get new board of directors and new members of board to manage the team. So let's leave football. Before we leave football, though I love football, before we leave football, let's talk about Europa Conference League. As Nottingham Forest, yesterday we saw a very good performance from them as they netted twice, one from the penalty spot and then also a set piece that was created for them to score their second goal. Porto at some point scored